spot too?
I think I was right here.
Okay.
How lucky I am to sit next to you.
Good.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out and joining us for our partnership announcement here for Richard Petty Motorsports. Glad you guys could join us. I'm Alex Hayden from the Motor Racing Network. Privileged to be up here with this esteemed group of professionals to my left up here. We'll give you the introductions just in case you're not aware of everybody on the stage. First of all, to my immediate left, the driver of the number 43 Richard Petty Motorsports Chevrolet Camaro Z01, Bubba Wallace. To his left, of course, if you don't know who that is, you may find yourself in the wrong area. That is NASCAR Hall of Famer, co-owner Richard Petty Motorsports, the King, Richard Petty. To the King's left there is the Vice President, Global Human Resources Worldwide Technology, and President, Worldwide Technology Foundation, Ann Marr. And at the far end of the table, next to her, President and CEO of Victory Junction, Chad Coltrane. So we'll get things underway. We'll start with Ann. Tell us why we're here.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me, and it is just such an honor to be sitting next to this man. I tell you, I'm a little starstruck, so I hope I can get through this. But thank you guys. It really is a pleasure to be here. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought it was loud, but I guess I'm not loud enough. Thanks, Bob. I guess I'm not loud enough. Okay. It is just a pleasure to be here on behalf of Worldwide Technology and our founder and chairman, Dave Stewart, and his family. I also want to introduce, I have another member of the Worldwide team with me, Nicole Tate's here with me. She is our Director of Sales Development, so sometimes you need a little support when you're traveling. But we are today here to celebrate a new strategic partnership with Worldwide Victory Junction and, of course, Darryl Bubba Wallace through a leadership gift made by Worldwide and the Stewart Foundation. Victory Junction will receive the Richard Petty Motorsports number 43 Camaro ZL1 sponsor benefits in a select number of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series races in 2019. Simply put, Victory Junction will be the first nonprofit organization to sponsor a professional sports team. This is a visionary investment strategy, investing in a diverse nonprofit organization, further investing in driver Bubba Wallace. But giving is not new to the Stewart Foundation and Worldwide Technology. We have a very long history of supporting the arts, culture, education, youth, and diversity causes that improve the quality of life, such as the Variety Club Children's Charity, Boy Scouts of America, St. Jude's, the United Way, and many, many other organizations. Last year, we extended our investment to include Bubba as the only NASCAR driver of color. So diversity matters to us. It really does. Nobody represents that better in racing than Bubba. The message of hope and strength of character that Bubba sends to diverse kids will have a ripple effect on generations to come. The Stewart family decided to invest in Victory Junction due to alignment of values and the organization's focus on diversity of supporting kids with different physical and mental conditions. So this is not anything new to Worldwide and the Stewart Foundation. We know this to resonate with existing and new NASCAR fans, bringing attention to Victory Junction, their mission to serve kids who face diverse challenges, and providing a call to action for fans to assist in their annual fundraising efforts. The future visibility of Worldwide, our communities, and racing depends on developing a diverse pipeline of STEM professionals. To do that, we must embrace kids of diversity, including diversity of life experiences. Our recent investment in Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, which happens to be the track on which Bubba first won, right, was made through STEM and diversity in mind. The media coverage for the naming rights agreement of Worldwide Raceway garnered over 300 million web hits. It was just incredible. We hope to bring the same kind of attention to Victory Junction's vital mission. We are delighted to announce that the partnership will commence this weekend here at the Pocono Raceway, and we look forward to seeing Victory Junction featured on Bubba Wallace's Chevrolet Camaro. So again, thank you guys for allowing us to be here. This is a very exciting thing for us to be a part of. So really, again, on behalf of Worldwide, the Stewart Foundation, and Dave Stewart, we are happy about this partnership.
Thank you. And Chad, for those who may not be totally familiar with Victory Junction, tell folks more about Victory Junction and why this partnership is such a unique opportunity.
Well, the story of Victory Junction is one of triumph over tragedy. The Petty family in 2004 opened the gates of Victory Junction in honor of Adam Petty. And in celebration of our 15th anniversary, the Stewart Family Foundation has created a strategic partnership with Victory Junction, with Bubba Wallace, and with Richard Petty Motorsports to create in which we'll create a call to action campaign. In that call to action campaign, we're going to title that campaign "Feel Your Heart Race," which is the tagline of Victory Junction. And the Feel Your Heart Race campaign will allow NASCAR fans to donate directly to Victory Junction over the course of this season. We are so grateful to the Stewart Family Foundation for this partnership. It should be noted that not a single dollar of Victory Junction's operational budget will go towards this partnership. This is fully funded by the Stewart Family Foundation. I love the quote. There's a quote in the press release that Mr. Stewart had, and he says that we will show a global audience that diversity in all forms matters. And to me, Victory Junction served 50,000 campers over our 15-year history. Last year, we served 498 separate diagnoses of kids in our summer camp program. And for me, this partnership is going to propel Victory Junction for the next 15 years. And it's going to ensure that we continue to be a camp that serves all kids.
Thank you. Spectacular stuff there. Thank you, Chad, for that. King, there's also the racing side of this. How important is this partnership to Richard Petty Motorsports?
Well, it's always important to have good backing for your race car. We've got a pretty good driver here. We just got to give him a better car. So, as everybody knows, it takes money to make a better car. And, with Worldwide Technology already working with Bubba and Richard Petty Motorsports, and now with they coming in and working with us with Victory Junction Camp, then all of it just sort of come together. And so it's a perfect storm for us from the racing standpoint, and a perfect storm for Victory Junction to get the name out there. A lot of people's heard tell of it, don't know what it is. This is going to give everybody a chance to really see what Victory Junction does. And with the Stewart Foundation behind it, WWT behind it, it's going to just make it that much better for everybody. And, personally, I just want to thank Dave for kind of getting with us and sticking with us, Dave Stewart with WWT. And just tell him, how much we appreciate that, and I think it's going to be good for everybody.
I agree with that. That's Richard Petty. Bubba Wallace getting good, fast race cars. That's always a good thing, but it's also a good thing to be a representative where you can help people and be a part of an organization that helps people.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if there's much left for me to say besides thank you to Dave, thank you to Victory Junction, everybody involved to make this happen. We know we've kind of been struggling the last year or so, and I've been upfront about it. And to have somebody over the years, I've told coming into RPM, I told Brian Moffat back in the corner that I don't get excited over much. So don't give me an update on much unless it's on the side of the race car. And I've been let down a lot. But the first moment I met Dave, there was something different about it. And we've had multiple conversations. And Brian and I would call each other after the fact and ask, was this real? Are we dreaming? And he called me Tuesday, I think it was, Tuesday or Wednesday. And I was like, oh, here's another update. You know, that's just how it was, and next thing you know, he said we had some good news and that everything was a go, and I was kind of speechless at first. I didn't know what to say because, you know, there was a part of me that doubted it, and, you know, didn't know if it was going to happen, and you know, it's been in the works for a really long time. So for us to finally, you know, see some light and turn this program around. Nobody's giving up at the shop, and the attitude that we still carry, I talk about it each and every week, the attitude we carry to the racetrack, you wouldn't think we're, you know, where we're at. So I love where I'm at, love my team. We got, you know, an opportunity to go out and set the world on fire and to speak on Victory Junction. I've been able to visit twice, 3 times maybe, and there's no cooler, special place to see kids light up and, you know, let themselves be kids again. No matter what boundaries they have on their life, it's incredible to see just how much fun they are having, all for a great cause. And you know, when we show up for NASCAR night, they love the pit stops. They love when the king climbs out of the car. It's truly a special night when we get to go there and just remembering how big of an impact we made. Dave is all about making the impact, a huge impact on our generation coming up through a youth generation, and diversity inclusion is big, and Victory Junction embodies that. So it's an honor to carry the name and the colors of Victory Junction on our Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. No pressure on me to make it better, but just an incredible opportunity, and the call to action plan. I think the biggest thing we can do as people is to donate back to the camp, and you can do that by calling, I think I'm going to get this right, 336-390-4845. I think I got that right. We practiced that for about 10 minutes. Or you can go to victoryjunction.org/donate now. I got both of them, I believe. So be sure to do that, please. Again, this is an incredible opportunity for all of us involved. And one way for fans to be a part of it is to do those 2 methods of giving back to the camp. So we appreciate it, and we're excited.
Bubba, it's also kind of fitting, too, that you're going to carry the colors here at Pocono Raceway. This is where you got your first Cup start with the King here just 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. We had a Mack truck visit yesterday up in Philly, and I drive over here about an hour. I was thinking about how I have such a love-hate relationship with this place. Ever since coming here in the trucks, I could never figure it out. 2017, this was my last Xfinity race. I was kicked out of the ride. But then that was my first Cup race the same weekend. I had a near-death experience last year, brakes going out, exciting announcements. So it's just back and forth with this place. This place will always be special.
We're going to open it up for questions to all of you. We do have microphones around, so put your hand in the air. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start here with Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Bubba, you have a big following, and, you know, results on the track are one thing, but people that sort of follow you where you go is another. How much do you feel like you can make a difference by communicating this to the fans and translating that to donations to the Victory Junction Gang Camp?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, and you know, now you're at this level, you started seeing people, you know, if we're talking about a certain sponsor, you'll see fans tweet back, just went and picked this up, hope you guys follow through with it, and tweeting at the company, and you know, it truly is, if a company joins our team, fans are going to flock to it and they're going to follow. So it's pretty incredible how that works out. So no reason in believing that this won't help as well. People are going to be able to donate with the 2 methods that I gave. I don't know if I can recite that number again. 336-390-4845. Be able to do that. Got it. But I think this is going to help out a lot. So we just have to keep doing everything on the right foot and the best note that we can, and we'll keep getting more and more donations, and we'll just all continue to grow as a whole.
Record, Bubba, to know what the Victory Junction camp means to the Petty family, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you kind of speak to what it means for you to be able to carry those colors around the racetrack?
Yeah, I remember, everybody in here remembers being a kid. I remember starting out go-kart racing. I was always, there was a couple of us, were always late to the grid because we were off in the field playing football, and the race is starting. And we'd run in, strap in, and go race, and get back out and go continue to play football. And, you know, as you started getting older and older, you had more, you know, obligations that you had to fill, and you started becoming more of an adult. I'm just a really big kid. But I remember being that kid and having the time of your life, having no worries, not wanting to go to bed, eat all the cookies and candies and Coca-Cola. So going to camp, you get to see that, and you get to see, kids with disabilities and life-threatening disabilities that have no worries in the world because they're having the time of their life, something they haven't had in a really long time. And you wouldn't think that there's anything wrong with them, and just because of the amount of fun that they're having, the smiles light up the place. And walking in, it definitely, touches you. It pulls on the heartstrings a lot, and they're just excited to be living life to the fullest. And that's what I encourage everybody to do every day is don't let anything hold you back, no matter what it is. And Victory Junction, that's what it's about.
Well said. Tim?
Tim Kedevine with WRC Sports. Bubba, turning to racing just a second, how much confidence did that win in the All-Star Open give you a couple of weeks ago as far as personality and everything?
Yeah, no, that was big. I guess that was a pat on the back and say, all right, bud, you can still do it. You might have to wreck Suarez for it, but that's all right. You got to do what you got to do.
Steve Post?
Steve Post, Motor Racing Network. And actually, I want to follow that question to Richard. Richard, Bubba just talked about a light at the end of the tunnel from the sponsorship standpoint and from the corporate standpoint. But when you watch that 43 car in that All-Star race, up front mixing it up, what was that like for you to see that? And was it a light kind of at the end of the tunnel to see such good speed and performance and talent from your team?
No, I think what it does, it shows that under the right circumstances, the guys doing the job in the pit, the guys that work on the car every week get it done, and then we give Bubba a decent car, then he goes out and show his ability. So basically what it did was raise the bar for RPM. We know we can do it. We know Bubba can do it. We know the crew can do it. And so now with the help of what's going on right here up today, that's going to give us a boost. We've already got the boost. Now we've got something to back it up with. So I think it's hopefully when we look back in the book and stuff, that was a turning point in RPM.
Dan Gelson, the Associated Press. Bubba, what kind of reaction did you get from fans, family, anyone, to when you opened up about your hardships at Kansas?
A lot more text messages than after we won the Open. I'll say that. It's everybody in here knows. Some new, some have been around for a while. That I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it's got me in trouble before talking about certain maybe sponsorship stuff. But if you can't talk about it, people don't know about it. So it's been kind of like a change of pace, and ever since that, I didn't know that was so effective on so many people. That was just me, just speaking out about it. And yeah, I'm going through this, and that's part of it. And from family to fans to people on the crew members and whatnot, just reaching out and saying thank you for talking about it. And I was like, yeah, all right. And I didn't know how big of an impact that would have. So. It's been better since Kansas. I'll say that. Still not 100%, but the Opens helped. Sponsorship efforts have helped. Still got a lot of things to work on for myself personally to be back to old Bubba, as people would say. I got a couple text messages after the Open saying that was the old Bubba that everybody missed. So I think I look a little bit better than old Bubba, but I don't know. We're still trying to get there.
Bob Pockris and then Jeff Gluck.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Either for Bubba or Richard, what does this extra funding allow you to do? Are you getting new cars, new pieces, more people?
Are we getting new cars? We'll find out. This all came together a couple days ago, so we know how long it takes and the process of getting those key components in place. So our speed ever since the Open has been really good. We were really good in the 600. We had some terrible luck. We were a top 15 car. We haven't been that since the start of the season. So no reason why we shouldn't be right there this weekend coming into Pocono. It'll be exciting to see how the package goes. But over time, I think we will start seeing big changes and more consistent pace out of the 43, which will be nice. So as of right now, we're just doing whatever we got, doing everything we can with whatever we got.
Jeff?
Hey, Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. For Bubba, I'm just wondering, like, maybe I'm reading between the lines too much here, but it seems like this is a pretty creative arrangement that had to be done, some outside the box thinking that you don't normally see. So I'm interpreting it as like somebody that really believed in you and wanted to support you. So if that's the case, you know, what does that mean to you that somebody believed in you that strongly and wanted to back you? And what's your relationship like with David Stewart?
After every meeting we had with Dave Stewart, I'd call my mom and I would say, this can't be real. There's twice, 2-3 meetings where he specifically looked at Brian and the King in their faces and said, I'm not working for you guys. I'm working for me. And I'm like, you just told the King that? Whoa. But it was like, I couldn't believe it. And I still don't. You've been beat down so many times and talked, we got this, we got that, we got this, it's going to happen, and nothing happens. And next thing you know, you start to have, I guess, trust issues. And I told them day one before I signed the contract, you know, yeah, we're in a tough spot, and yeah, we're gonna, you know, we might have opportunities, but I don't care about the updates. I don't want to hear about them because I don't believe you. And I'm not trying to be harsh. That's just me being realistic. I don't believe you until it's on the car. But there was something about Dave since day one. He wanted this to happen. He's big in diversity. He's big in the youth and inclusion. And the conversation with Brian, I mean, this can't be real, right? We said that multiple times, and to make it happen all together and at this time is incredible. I mean, I'm tearing up about it because you haven't had somebody believe in me like that since hell I started. And it was me, my dad, and Chris. That was it. And so it's been a long time, and to have that support, it really means a lot. So, you know, we know how sponsorship works, and, you know, the driver tries to kind of latch onto that sponsor, and then, you know, once you have the green light and you and the sponsor are tight, you can kind of go wherever you want and you can kind of control your own pace. And you know, right now this is huge for me, just to be a part of the Stewart family and the Worldwide Tech family and the Victory Junction family. There's a lot of people that believe in me, I guess, and that I guess I can, I don't know, turn that blind eye, kind of open it up, but still it's just really hard for me to believe, but it's truly special to have that kind of power behind me.
I will say that if you've ever met Dave, I mean, his support is 100% authentic. And, you know, when he supports you, he inspires you, he's there right beside you, whether he's here, which he's not here today, or he's there mentally for you. So it's really an impactful partnership. When he believes in you, he believes in you. And I've worked for him for over 20 years, and I'm still inspired by him. So it's real, it's authentic, and, you know, he's just such a genuine individual that it makes you want to do better just because you know you want to do it for him.
Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions? One more, Bob Pockers?
Can you say how many races the Victory Junction logo will be on the hood, or maybe like, is it one of your bigger sponsors that you have now?
16, yeah. Big time. Let's go racing.
Speaking of Let's Go Racing, we'd like to invite everybody outside right now. We're going to get a look at the Victory Junction Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Pink King, go right ahead.
Before everybody goes, this is Bubba's number. Y'all come up here and get it. Put it in the paper, okay?
Yes, text Bubba to that number. I forgot that part. I knew I forgot something.
Let's go outside and see the race car right now, just mere steps away from the Adam Petty Garage here at Pocono. Well done, bud.
We will go ahead and begin our media availabilities with the driver of the number 13 GEICO Chevrolet for Germain Racing, Ty Dillon. We'll go ahead and open up for questions. Please raise your hand and we will get a mic over to you. We'll go over here to the right to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. Hey, what should we expect to see here this weekend with this package? Like, what are you guys thinking when you're going into this race that it's going to look like?
I know unknown is the most commonly used word this year around the sport, but you know, we have a little bit of experience with the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series of what we might see. Obviously, I think the restart's going to be pretty wild, 4, 5, 6 wide, maybe 7, who knows. But after that, I don't know. You know, I think we as a team have a theory in wanting the cars to race really well. I think there's going to be a theory of having a car that runs really fast down the straightaways, but you might have to lift a little more in the corners, could make up the overall lap time that you need to not be as full throttle in the middle of the corner. So it's a downforce drag question mark, I would say, which a lot of these tracks have. You see guys who qualify good and fall back in the race, and people who qualify bad and race well, and that's the difference in, you know, what they want out of their package, whether they're going full downforce or trying to trim as much drag out of the car as possible. This place is going to be very unique with 3 corners and 3 very long straightaways to what balance of your car really pays off. So I think whoever can kind of adapt to the weekend or chose the right path before they got here is going to show up big.
We'll come right down here to the front.
Zach Sterniolo, Pocono Record. Do you, along those same lines, do you expect to be lifting through the tunnel turn, or is that a corner that teams might try to go flat out?
We're so close to not lifting here with the old package through the tunnel turn, which was ridiculously fast, and I think it's going to be pretty wide open. You can do it in a truck. I'd imagine we could do it with these cars, so I'll let you know after lap 1. But I'm curious to see if we'll lift all the way out in turn 3, and then what turn 1 will be like if we lift all the way out there too. There's a possibility of not coming all the way out of the throttle all the way around here, which makes one minor slip or twist of the car have a huge impact over this long straightaways. If you're wide open through any corner, you're just taking whatever straightaways connect that corner and making them even longer, essentially. So a mess up in turn 1, if you can hold the tunnel turn wide open, gets quadruple magnified down the straightaway. You're just going to keep losing spots and keep losing spots. So the more you're wide open, the more you take corners out of a racetrack.
Are there any additional questions? We'll come over here to the right to Claire.
Can you talk about qualifying? And it's going to be really orchestrated, and it's like 15 seconds apart from the next group. And do you have to kind of get your mind wrapped about how it's expected to be? Because it's a little bit different here.
I had no clue about that. So you guys are ahead of me. I guess when I go in and see Matt, we'll talk about it. But I don't know. Yeah, they keep throwing new qualifying, ways of approaching it at us. I really like the beginning of the year, because I know a lot of people complained about it, but we all had to do the same system, and we were, as a team, we were kind of ahead of it. I felt like as a driver and a spotter and crew chief, we had figured out a formula to qualify well. Our qualifying positions were the best they'd ever been with that old style. Now we went back to single car. We haven't been performing as well, but we've also been changing some stuff on our car to try to make sure our performance at 1.5 miles have been better. I think our performance at short tracks and super speedways are right up there. We're a team that to be talked about week in and week out at those tracks, but obviously we know as a team we have some improvement to make at 1.5 miles. And the more of these bigger tracks that we go to, the more that we're kind of honing into it. I think this year we've been more productive and more consistent, and that's just because of a commitment to a driver, a crew chief, and a sponsor. And commitment means consistency, and we've been able to grow through that. So I guess to take your qualifying question and turn it into a big question, but I don't really know for qualifying. We'll figure it out.
We'll go over here to this first camera to your left.
Eamon Turber with ABC in Harrisburg. This is more of a general question on the sport itself and racing. The number of fans that you see at these races has kind of gone down in recent years, and I know there's been talk about that. But from a racing standpoint, I mean, you obviously want people, you want full stands every Sunday or every race you guys go to. What's your take on being a driver in that atmosphere, and also maybe why that might be?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on it. Obviously it seems as if the attendance has gone down, but I go to a lot of different sporting events, and I've been to a lot of different sporting events in the past 3 or 4 years, and it's kind of going down everywhere across the board, not just our sport. I think you look at Charlotte last week for the 600, we had a great attendance. We had an amazing race, and viewership has been up most of the year this year for our sport. As technology grows, we got to do things different. Sitting in a stands, sitting still in stands, it's just not the way that the world's going to keep going. I think the fact that we're taking out stands isn't as bad of a thing as if we can find new ways to bring fans to the track in just a different way. I think we can take out stands and add entertainment decks, change the outlook. I think tracks are doing a good job of adding more motorhome parking for fans. That's the high-end kind of side. But we need the college kids can sit by the track, listen to a concert, and watch the race. We need multiple dimensions of entertainment at our sport. We got to get them here, because once they get here, they love our sport. Our sport's incredible. It's the best live sport there is. So taking out stands doesn't need to be seen as a negative. We just got to find an approach to keep, whether it's standing room or a party deck, or like at Indy where they have, I think it's the pit or something. We need to do that everywhere and not just confine our fans to sitting in the stands, because as a young person myself, and you go to concerts and parties, and people want to move around. They want to be able to see different angles, and it's the way that the mind is kind of growing with a younger age, is you got to be able to entertain them at multiple levels. So if they can move around to different parts of the track, and it's more of an open atmosphere. I thought now if I were to rebuild a track, I'd build a short track or, a mile-sized track with no grandstands, but find a way where the track is viewable from all standing sections, and then find ways to, make money in that way. And I am no track promoter, and this is just a dream of a race car driver, but I think we got to continue to find new ways to entertain, and all the tracks are really doing that. Everybody's doing whatever they can within the confinements of contracts and agreements with sponsors and TV. But I think our sport is being very progressive, and we're going to continue to adapt to that.
There it is. Sorry. And you mentioned finding new ways. Interestingly enough, Pocono is kind of a place that's taking that approach with NASCAR next year, adding that second race on the same weekend.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's a positive for the sport? And what do you think about choosing this venue to do that?
I think it's awesome, and I applaud Pocono. I think this track has always been the first to say, hey, we'll take on something new. And we'll try something new for the sport, and it's worked out. And I think more tracks should be aggressive in approach as far as trying something new. It worked out for Charlotte last year with a Roval. I think that was a great race. I was running this morning. I know we have a road course here. I mean, that's an interesting thought. If we way later on down the road did the triangle, and then we did a road course the next day, and how that would play out. I think the mind split that we have right now of how we're going to race 2 days it's just good entertainment. It's good storylines, and I think we just got to keep finding new ways to entertain. Our sport doesn't need to go to the same tracks at the same weekends, I think, every year. I think we got to give new opportunities. I know it's a promotion thing, but I think we just got to keep finding new ways and not be afraid to make some mistakes or take risks in developing our sport and growing it.
We'll come back down here to Claire and then over to Bob.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. What you said about the college kids and the decks and all of that was very interesting. Do you feel like as a young driver, that's something you can contribute, even though that's kind of not your area of making those decisions? Because it seems like you have some good thought processes going on there.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. Last year I was on the driver council as a first 3 years in the series driver, and that was an honor to me to be voted in by my peers. And I just tried to add that perspective as much as possible. And, I don't know all the contracts, and I don't know all the, the exact behind-the-scenes things, but I'm going to share my opinion. And I think another thing that would be cool for the future of our sport is if we could live stream from inside of every single car. If we had an in-car camera inside of every single car, and each driver could live stream that view from their social account, I think that would be big. It creates that interaction driver to fan instantly. We get back to our phones and we go through and see and we can answer questions that they might have seen. We could replay it and go back through it with them. I know that's kind of a controversy with the TV or the TV companies, but that's something we got to look forward to, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have in-car cameras in every single car these days, and provide more specific information for the specific fan. You can stream every sport, every minute of every sport on your phone right now, and if we give the more access we give to a younger crowd, the more we're going to attract that younger crowd. I heard something the other day about baseball. I was watching a Braves game, and their target audience is 50 to 60 who watch the actual channel on TV, but on their live streaming app, their target age base is dropped 20 years. It's 40. So streaming on your phone has got to be big. You got to use your platforms the way we can. I'm almost 30. I'm getting close to 30. I'm 27. But the younger the kids everyone gets, the more it's on their phone, or it's AR, VR, and we got to adapt quicker than everybody else and get in these places. We have a sport that we can put people inside the car, and we got to use it. We got to use it to our advantage. We got to use some kind of communication to put a driver communicating to a fan inside the race car during the race. Whether everybody complains about it or not, it's going to take us to another level as far as the future.
We'll go ahead and wrap with Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. Is there anything you can do here this weekend or in July to prepare you for the doubleheader weekend next year? I mean, I know we don't have exactly how everything's going to do, but like, do you test certain parts or pieces or make quick changes quicker just to see or prepare for what it could be like next year?
I think there might be an amplified focus on, well, I guess not Saturday or Sunday, but today till Sunday, day to day, what the car did from, say, into the practice today till start of the race on Sunday. Just day to day, weather to weather is going to be the biggest thing that we can probably pick up on. Rubber, less rubber, more rubber. Those are things that we'll probably overanalyze this time around to try to prepare for next year.
All right. Thanks, Ty.
All right, thanks,
Good luck
guys.
this weekend. We will go ahead and continue our media availabilities with Alex Bowman, driver of the number 88 Axalta Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone. We'll go ahead and start with Jeff in the back and then come down here to Zach.
Hey, Jeff Gluck from The Athletic, if I can say my name. This weekend is kind of a different schedule, a potentially different schedule that they could go with in the future. What do you think that impact could have, like, on the crews? Do you think that teams will like it and respond to this format with 2 practices, then qualifying, and then impound?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a lot different for us. It's kind of like what we do at Talladega, somewhat. So, all right, I guess it's really close to what we do there. So it'll be different. There's a lot less time to get changes made in between those 2 practices, and kind of if you're off, I think it's going to be harder or more stressful to get a large amount of changes made between those 2 practices, and trying to execute through practice is going to be probably more critical, just because of the lack of time to get everything done and to be through tech and everything before qualifying. So that's going to be a little different, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do all day tomorrow. It's kind of weird just having almost a whole day off just qualifying. So it's definitely very different.
We'll come right down here to the front.
Zach Sterniolo, Broken Record. Alex, this last month seems like it's been a great month for you specifically. And last time you came out here with the top 3. Does that give you any extra confidence coming back here this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think our cars have been really strong here lately. It's been a lot of fun going to the racetrack the last month. So definitely been enjoying that and really proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. All 4 of our cars have been really strong lately. So that's been good. Obviously, we had a really strong day here in the second race last year. But the package is so different that I think there's not much that we can really transfer over. Just going to be so much on throttle time. I don't think you'll be wide open, but it's going to be very little lifting, not a lot of brakes. Everything's going to be very different. So I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to drive. I like new, different things, so I'm looking forward to that. But definitely confident coming in. Not sure what we can carry over from last year, though.
We'll go all the way over here to your right, Tim. All right.
Rich Colbert, Motor Racing Network. Looking at the next 2 weeks. Next week, Michigan. A lot of question marks on that. I've talked to a lot of guys, and they don't seem to know what's going on either as far as what to expect. What do you expect with the high speeds and the higher downforce?
I think it's going to look somewhat like Kansas. You know, I think Kansas and Michigan are the two tracks that complement this package the most. You know, I don't know what the weather is going to be like, but if it's cool, you know, you'll be able to run wide open pretty much all race, I think. It's probably not going to be as double file as Kansas, just because Kansas has widened out so much more than Michigan has. But, you know, you look at the Xfinity race last year with that package, it was a pretty good race, I thought. I had fun. You know, I think it was very interesting how you had to work the air. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a really good race for the fans. And kind of like we said going to Kansas, if there's a place that this package is going to give the desired effect and the closest racing, it's those two racetracks.
What about off weekend? You got any plans?
Well, I moved houses the last off weekend, and I'm moving my shop this off weekend. So more moving, not a whole lot of fun, but just getting the shop moved and prepping for Chili Bowl.
Are there any additional questions for Alex? We'll go to Claire, and then we'll go to this first camera right here.
Qualifying, how much do you know about what qualifying will be here? It's going to be moving pretty quickly. They have to because they've got so many cars on the track. So while you will not be drafting or delaying anyone per NASCAR, you will be moving rather quickly. Is that hard, or are you guys just so used to whatever they give you to do?
No, I mean, you roll up in staging there, and you're just in the car ready to go, and you go when they tell you. So, you know, it's different being single car. I think there's probably a little more pressure and anxiousness just sitting there waiting for the last couple cars to go before you roll out. And then you kind of just want to get it over with once you're in the car, you know. So I don't know if it's going to be much different. I'm curious to see how they're going to drive and see how close to wide open we can be, but I'm looking forward to it.
When you're sitting there watching or waiting, are you cognizant of what others are doing or looking at the screen or figuring it out, or are you trying to focus only on your own deal?
You know, you can try to look at what others are doing if you have like a fan vision or if your crew chief's talking to you, but really not a whole, like once you get in the car, there's not a whole lot you can see or watch for. So really you're not in the car till probably 5 to 7 cars before you go. So while you're outside of the car, you're definitely watching really closely what everybody else is doing.
We'll go to this first camera right here.
We just had Ty in here a couple of minutes ago talking about this, and you're a younger guy too. So he gave a lot of perspective about what the sport can do to kind of bring in some of the younger generation of fans. And as a younger person yourself, you know, is this something you think about in ways to grow the sport?
To be honest here lately, I've kind of just been focused on myself, trying to get running better. But, you know, I think there's a lot of things that we can say are easy to do, but I mean, we really need to appreciate the fans that we have and take care of them a lot as well. So that's kind of a fine balance, but, you know, I think what's cool about NASCAR is they're so willing to change and make changes and always trying to improve the product, you know. Other sports do that somewhat, but not to the extent that NASCAR does. So, well, I might not have any huge ideas. I heard some of Ty's stuff, and it sounded pretty cool. But, you know, I think we have to balance taking care of the fans that we have and make it inviting for new fans as well. And I think NASCAR does a really good job of that.
And he also mentioned that Pocono is a place on the circuit that really wants to adapt to change and kind of be at the forefront of this whole deal. Is that something that you've noticed and appreciated as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think this is always a cool racetrack to come to. I mean, the racetrack alone is unique and different than anywhere else we go. But, you know, with a doubleheader we're going to have next year, that's going to be pretty neat. Excited to learn about how that's going to work and how that's going to play out. But, yeah, this is a great place, and it's cool to have tracks that are willing to change as well.
I can't see, but there's a question back there.
Yeah, Alex Pat Principe at WGAL TV. Given the changes to the cars this year, what do you expect restarts to be like here?
Yeah, restarts here are always interesting anyway, just with how long you have until you get to turn one and how crucial the draft was even without a lot of drag on the cars. So the draft is just going to be more crucial. You're going to be 4 or 5 wide, just like we always have been, getting into turn one, and then it's going to all funnel down and narrow out really quickly. So they're going to be really crucial. This place is hard to pass. Once you get buried in traffic, it's tough. So restarts are going to be really key. Track position is going to be really key, but it'll be exciting for sure.
We'll come down here to Chris Knight.
ChrisKnightCatchFans.com. Last week after the 600, you expressed that you felt that Joey raced you a little too hard. I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, he about crashed us in practice, and then he drove into turn one and tried to turn us. So I don't know. I like Joey a lot, and it is what it is. We're all racing hard. I'm not super mad about it. I just thought it was dumb was all.
Come back down to Claire.
After the race last week, he said, I race everybody hard, right? Because he was asked about that. Reaction is everybody racing everybody hard, or any harder than anybody else is racing?
I mean, I think everybody has to race everybody hard with this package, right? There's not a lot of room for give and take. But, yeah, I mean, I thought the situation was there was a good chunk of the race left. It was pretty unnecessary. Probably wouldn't have been as mad as I was about it if he didn't about crash us in practice, which I thought was really unnecessary. But, you know, it's all good, and he'll get his for sure.
Are there any final questions? All right, Alex. Good luck
Thanks,
this
guys.
weekend. Freezing in here, right?
Good Lord.
We'll go ahead and continue our media availabilities for today. We are now joined by Martin Truex Jr., driver of the number 19 Bass Pro Shops Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll go ahead and open it up for media questions. If you have one, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll start down here with Zach. Right down here in the front.
Zach Sterniolo, Pocono Record. Martin, with the way this new package is, are you expecting to be out of the throttle much in any of the turns, or is turn 2 a turn that you think you guys can go flat out through?
I have no idea. Honest answer. No, not really sure. I think we'll be out of the throttle some. You know, being that today we're, in race trim, it's an impound qualifying deal, so probably everybody will start in race trim and make some laps, kind of figure it out. So I would assume that we'll probably be out of the throttle some there. And then you go to qualifying, you do a qualifying run. It's going to be more wide open. I don't know if it'll be all the way wide open. So we'll just have to wait and see, feel it out.
We'll go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. I'm working on a story about Cole and his transition. How do you think he's made the adjustment, like personally with his family and all that stuff? Like, do you think he's enjoying life? Obviously, you guys are winning now, so that helps. But has the move gone well for him?
Yeah, I mean, just in talking to him about it, I think so. I think that his kids have made friends, and have Callum's in hockey down there. I mean, just seems to be going well. I do know he still misses Colorado. He tells me that, but I think it's gone well for him. I think he's made the transition good, and his wife and kids are great, so I'm sure that helps a lot.
How do you think he was able to fit into the culture at JGR so well?
I think probably just because he brings something a little bit different. I'd say his approach is probably different than the other guys, and the more smart people you have and different kind of ways of thinking about things, you can kind of pull from each of those. So I think for Cole, he's so unique in the way he approaches things, and so competitive and so driven that I think he could pretty much fit in anywhere he wanted to.
We'll come down here to Claire.
You probably see a side of Cole. He's such a unique individual, and really enjoy him because he seems quiet, but he's not. He's edgy, but that's the other side of him, right? Do you see both sides of Cole?
I see all sides. I see his mad side. I see his happy side. It's crew chief driver relationship is really interesting, and you have to be friends, but at the same time it's business, and you have to be able to take criticism, give criticism, all those things. So it's been we just have a great relationship, understanding of each other. And, you know, I know when he's telling me maybe I'm not doing something right, or he wants me to try something else, he's not telling me how to do my job. He's trying to help me do my job. And he does a good job of just approaching things the right way, you know. And the same with, you know, from my side, when I'm complaining about the car, telling him it needs to be better or things like that, I think he understands that, you know, I'm not making it personal, that it's strictly business. And away from the track, we get along really well, even though we're very different and enjoy different things. So, yeah, it's just been a really good relationship. But you do see the highs and lows, and you go through a lot together as a group.
Rich Culberth, Motor Racing Network, right here. Father's Day coming up in a couple of weeks. What's your fondest memory with your dad?
Oh, I can't pick just one. I mean, you know, my dad growing up, you know, was a huge influence on me, still is today. And, you know, I guess for me as a kid loving racing and you know, watching my dad win on TV at New Hampshire in '94. It was on TNN back then, and, you know, the Busch North race, that was the first one he won, and it was a big one. So that was really cool. I just thought it was, you know, really awesome to be able to watch my dad win on TV. I thought it was really neat.
Welcome right down here to the front.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Martin, can you just talk a little bit about the role that you've been on the last 4 or 5 races, you know, 3 wins out of the last 5, and also coming in here as defending champion? Does that matter with the new package, or is there anything? I mean, you've had success here before. Does that help maybe you adapt with the new package?
Yeah, I think anytime you have success at a racetrack, it helps just because you kind of understand it a little bit. But, you know, that being said, with the new package, it is a lot different. I mean, there's no question. And but places that we've had success before, it seems to translate a little bit. And I think a lot of that's just, you know, driver confidence and understanding the racetrack and you know, the team kind of understanding it as well. So hopefully we have the right approach. It's going to be a tough weekend. It's short practices. You know, and then impound qualifying, so it's going to be tough, less practice than normal. But you know, especially here, it's you know, 2.5 mile track. It takes you a minute to get in and out of the garage and get a green flag. I mean, we may run 20 laps of practice total in 2 50-minute sessions. So from that standpoint, it's going to be a tough weekend. But being on a roll, I mean, it's just a credit to the team and the hard work, you know, finally coming together and, you know, doing all the little things right. You know, the pit crew has really come on strong and gelled as a unit, and it takes everything at this level to win races and to put yourself in position consistently. So just, you know, just coming together as a group and kind of starting to find that momentum. It's one of those things in the sport that's really hard to find, and once you do, you want to do all you can to hang on to it because you never know when it's going to go away.
Martin, Pat Principe with WGAL-TV. Do you anticipate restarts being much different here with the new package?
I mean, it's hard to say. I would have to say yes. I mean, typically restarts here in general are pretty wild just because of, you know, the distance that we have to go to get to turn 1. And the chance that you get side by side and 3 wide and 4 wide and 5 wide. And you know, with these cars, with this package now, when guys in front of you get side by side, you get a huge run. So the more they fan out, the bigger the runs are going to come from behind. I mean, it's just going to be, I think it's going to be complete chaos, and it's going to decide the race. You know, restarts with this package are everything. It's, you know, pit stops and restarts. If you can get yourself to the front, it's, you know, a lot easier to stay there than it is to get there. So I think everybody will be aggressive, and there's really no telling what we could see on restarts here Sunday.
Go ahead to Chris.
Chris Knight, GetTrends.com. Martin, starting to see some new players up front, Byron, Bowman, Boucher. Some of them are not accustomed to get racing as hard as they are now that they're racing towards the front. Is that something that they're going to have to adapt to the closer you get to the front and towards opportunity to win? You're going to get raced a lot harder?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think try to race everybody the way they race you in general, but when you get up front, especially on restarts late, I mean, it gets aggressive. You know, guys are laying it all on the line, and you have to put it on the edge and hopefully not screw it up, you know, and there's a handful of guys I feel like that can do that. So the more you're up there racing together with people, you kind of know their tendencies, you kind of know what to expect from them, and you know, those guys are doing a really good job and running well, so I think they'll be just fine.
We'll stay right here.
Zach Tansvetti, KickingTheTires.net. Last year overall you had 20 top 5s and only 4 wins, but this year with 5 top 5s you already have 3 wins. is that execution coming from the team? Is it just how the races are playing out? Are they playing out in your favor? Is it something that you're picking up on?
Yeah, man, I don't know that the races have played out in our favor by any means. I just feel like we've just been really good. I mean, in 3 of the last 5 races, you know. But we still, you know, a place like Kansas, we didn't run very well. So, I mean, there's still, it's different week to week. You just got to continue to work hard, put it all together. I do feel like we're very well-rounded. We can run at a lot of different racetracks well, obviously by the places we've won. But, you know, I think the pit crew, again, I mentioned it earlier, stands out in my mind as a big player in this. You know, last year we had a lot of issues. And, you know, issues cost wins and issues cost, you know, top 5s. So we haven't been having any of those, knock on wood, and the guys are doing a great job. So I'm really proud of them because they struggled early, and they're a new group together, which it takes them a while to get going. So hopefully, you know, we can just keep that up. But just, you know, great team and great race cars and engines, and it takes everything. So, you know, no mechanical failures, nothing, you know, crazy happening lately, and just been able to, you know, put it all out there.
We'll go down to your left.
Thank you. Ted Schmidt, Area Auto Racing News. Martin, earlier we talked about Cole making the transition. How's the transition been from you from a single-car team to the multi-car team?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I would say that for a transition, going from one team to another, it's been the least change I've ever had in my career, just because of, you know, the alliance we had with JGR, and you know, the cars are the same basically, and you know, parts and pieces, a lot of them are the same. So there was a lot less change. You know, back in the day, you'd change teams and you just, they did things different. You didn't know what to expect. You know, the feeling, the way they handled things, the way they built their cars, you know, the way the front ends felt and the steering boxes felt and the brakes and all those things are stuff that you get used to as a driver, and those feels of things you like. And, you know, for me, it's all really similar stuff. I knew a lot of the people there already, worked with them closely in the past couple seasons, and so I knew what to expect out of them, and I think, you know, vice versa. So it was really a smooth transition for me. I think it was probably the most difficult for the guys that moved from Colorado, you know, because they had to move, and then of course, you know, you put a new team together, it takes time to, you know, for everybody to kind of get to know each other as well. And so, you know, for me, I'd say I probably had the easiest transition of anybody.
We're going to go to this first camera to your left, and then to Claire, and wrap up with Jeff.
Damon Turbot, ABC 27 in Harrisburg. I was just talking to the couple guys who were up here before you about how the sport is changing. You've been around the sport for a really long time. So first of all, what's it like just to watch this change happen over time, and what do you think about the sport's ability to adapt? And the sport is using Pocono as, especially next season, as an interesting forefront for change. What do you make of using Pocono for that venue?
Well, there's certainly been a lot of change, and I think all for the good. I think, you know, the leadership team at NASCAR has done a great job of trying to make everybody happy, but most importantly, put on the best possible show that they can. And, you know, I think so far this season it's gone really well, so kudos to them. It's got to be hard to make those decisions. There's so many stakeholders that, you know, on the line as far as owners and sponsors and drivers and all those things. So they have a lot on their plate to try to make everybody happy. But so far, it seems like this season's been successful, and, you know, ratings are going up. People are excited about what we're doing out on the racetrack. All those are great things. You know, it's definitely changed a lot over the years, but it's been fun to be a part of all those changes. And probably one of the most fun things about our sport is it is always changing. It's not the same thing all the time. You know, if you're good at football or you're good at baseball or, you know, good at those things, they don't really change. Our sport is constantly changing, constantly evolving. From a driver's standpoint, that's one of the coolest things about what we do. You know, you could win here today, race next week, and run 15th. You know, I mean, it's just it's a constant, always challenging you, and I really enjoy that aspect of our sport. So all those things are great. I think, you know, next year the single week, you know, the 2 races in one weekend is going to be really fun to see how that works out. If I was a fan, I'd buy a ticket. You know, 2 races, 4 races in 2 days, and you know, save you a lot of money for making 2 trips as well. So, I mean, it's just another instance of NASCAR trying to do right on the fans and everybody, and you know, I think it'll be a good thing.
We'll go to Claire and then to Jeff.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You said that the restarts would be chaos, and we were told at the beginning of the year, and we've seen some of that they would be. Can you define the chaos? Is it going to be more so here, chaos, than what we normally see with the restarts that have been crazy?
Yeah, I mean, we'll typically hear because, we restarts and the front straightaway is just so long. So there's so much time to get those runs and get, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, however many. And, typically here you get 5 wide already. At, in other tracks, maybe it was 2, maybe 3. So you already have that. The fact that this track, there's already more opportunity to make those moves because of the long straightaway on the restart. And, so with it being already, crazier than normal, what's it going to be like here? I don't know. I think everybody has, again, it's the more cars you have side by side in front of you, the bigger run you get. So, I mean, it's just going to be, we'll have to wait and see how many we can fit on the front stretch because I feel like it's going to be a lot. We'll see.
We'll go to Jeff, and then our last question will be right here with Zach.
There's a chance that this weekend schedule could potentially be more common if it's a success, I believe. What do you think about it? Are you in favor of this kind of format where the 2 practices and just qualifying tomorrow and impound?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good schedule. I have no issues with it at all. Certain tracks you'd like to have a little bit longer practices. We shortened the practices up before, but normally we'd have a Friday practice and qualifying. So maybe need to look at tweaking the practice time a little bit. But aside from that, I mean, I think it's a great schedule. I have no issues with it at all.
And we'll finish up right here with Zach.
Zach Sternio, the Pocono Record. A few weeks ago, Denny Hamlin was talking about this weekend and said that while he's not a big advocate of putting traction compound on tracks, he thinks Pocono would be a good track to use it at. Do you agree with that? That would that help in any of the turns here?
Would it help? I mean, it would definitely help bring in a second groove. If that's what we want. I don't know. I don't know if that's what we need here or not. Honestly, I think it's one of those things that you just have to try it and see if it works. If everybody says that we need a second groove in one of the corners or all the corners, then yeah, we could try it. I don't know. I like it the way it is. I think it's fine, and I think the racing's good here. It's difficult to pass once you get spread out, but as a driver, you kind of look forward to that that challenge, and hopefully that you can make your car good enough and do all the right things to make those passes when needed.
All right, that's it. Thanks,
Thanks,
Martin.
guys.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.